Are we ready? We're going. Hello, welcome, we're back. I'm just going to turn the sound off on the Mac just so we don't get any bings or anything like that throughout this quick live. But we're here again. It's time for the first roundup of the Silver Compass World Cup sweepstake competition. I'm here, Mike's here. Intern Ollie bunking off again. What can we say? We've got our handy Natural Print Solutions
World Cup guide.
Yeah, World Cup guide. Just we've been religiously filling in the scores as and when they've been coming in. We've got a few talking points today. We're going to be going through all of the matches that happened in the last round. Let's get into it.
Yep. So yesterday saw the final fixtures of every country's first game in the tournament. So I'm going to go from the beginning, which was our live Facebook event. If you missed it, we had Russia, aka Jodie Louise Bonnick's The Beauty Loft, taking on Saudi Arabia Nutribox Meals, and getting the tournament off to a blinding start with a 5-0 win. Host nation Russia really impressing there. And I'm sure Beauty Loft were very happy with that result.
Probably not so much Nutribox Meals, but you know they've got their own revenge because they have had their own sweepstake draw, and I got drawn with England. So I'm really thrilled about that drawing. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. And with that 5-0 win for the host nation, Sam mentioned to me about the importance of supporting your local team or your local business. Any thoughts on that, Sam?
Yeah, so what we've done is we've had a look through these results and we kind of thought about a few lessons that we can learn from this round. Not just footballing lessons, obviously, we're talking about marketing lessons as well. And the first lesson from this very first game is never underestimate local support. Now we're really fortunate here in Malden, where we have our office. It's got a really big, vibrant high street, lots and lots of independent shops, and we know that we're fortunate because that's not always the norm for not businesses, but
high streets in general.
Yeah, high streets in general up and down the country. So where we can, where possible, we like to support local businesses, be that just a matter of popping into one of the local cafes for lunch, or like we sort of support the local Malden networking group. Going to be going to that a little bit later in the afternoon, so shout out to those guys. Again, that is in a local bar in Malden at the Oak House, which is just across the road from us. But the lesson I think that we need to take from Russia doing so well in their home matches is that they've had a fantastic start, most likely because of local support for them doing really well in this World Cup. And small businesses can have just as much success if we're able to support them locally as well. So that's a lesson I think we can take away from not only Russia's 5-0 thrashing of Saudi Arabia, but also their pretty respectable 3-1 win against Egypt yesterday evening.
Absolutely. So Russia, the only team to have played their second game, and that was last night, and they followed that up with a 3-1 win over Mo Salah's Egypt, which means there's 8 goals in 2 games for Russia, which is more than any other team in the tournament.
Not looking likely that Egypt are going to be going through now.
No, highly unlikely. It would take a couple of results for Saudi Arabia against. It would take a result for Saudi Arabia against Uruguay, and then Egypt to beat Uruguay as well. So it's looking unlikely, but you never know.
But you know, if you are going to be sort of rushing your star player back from quite a severe injury, it's going to happen. Just saying hi to Tom Barber, who's joined us today.
Good to hear from you.
Hi, Tom.
Speaking of Mo Salah and Egypt, of course, Egypt's first game, they came up against Uruguay. So Minau, marketing by Minau is Egypt, Unfortunately, she suffered a 1-0 loss to Janice Gilbert, Word Perfect VA, aka Uruguay, and that was actually an 89th minute goal, so a very late win there for Uruguay in their opening match of Group A. To Group B, we had our first real dramatic game of the tournament.
Some would probably say that's been the best game of the tournament so far, actually.
Absolutely. So Tony Baker, Chambers Financial Services, Portugal, took on Matt Bradford, Natural Print Solutions, Spain. The result was 3-3. An incredible game. Cristiano Ronaldo grabbing a hat-trick. Also plenty of other interesting points in there. So Diego Costa of Spain grabbing 2 goals. Spain generally dominating possession, but Portugal coming up when it mattered most with the goals.
When you say Portugal, you mean Cristiano, don't you?
Cristiano Ronaldo pretty much pulling the team there. And of course we did have our first penalty of the tournament in that game. Ronaldo tripping over his Real Madrid teammate's leg to get that penalty, and then laughing at his Real Madrid teammate. So again, Ronaldo not showing love for teammates, much like in a previous tournament where he got Rooney sent off and had a little wink to the Portugal manager.
Was that Sergio Ramos that he tripped over?
No, it was Nacho, the right back. And Nacho then went on to score a stunning half volley, so I think Nacho's probably the real winner there.
So I was going to say, if he had tripped over Sergio Ramos and then laughed at him, I probably wouldn't have had too much sort of sympathy for Sergio Ramos. There we go.
Not at all. So yeah, that game. Obviously, we also had just 1 day or 2 days before that game, the Spain manager getting sacked and replaced. So I think all in all, Spain will probably have taken that draw given the manager situation. We had the second game in Group B, which was Lisa Gibbard, Smart PA's Morocco, taking on Jane Horgan, VA Wiz's Iran, and Iran overcoming the odds to beat Morocco despite being not considered favourites for that one, with a 95th minute own goal. A very dramatic ending to that game, and a very sad evening for the Moroccan lad who scored that own goal. Group C, we had France, aka James Hamilton Elite Business IT, take on the Beauty Spot with Jen Louise's Australia. This a very tight game in the end, which people may not have expected to begin with. Also seeing 2 penalties awarded through VAR, so VAR coming in strong there.
We are going to be picking up on the topic of VAR a little bit later, probably when we get down to the England result, because I think there's some stuff we want to talk around there.
Absolutely. So France winning 2-1 in that game against Australia. Both teams having a penalty, which they did score. Also in Group C, we have Peru taking on Denmark. So Peru is Joe Howarth Photography and Denmark Essex Work Skills. Another penalty in this game, this time missed by Peru, and Denmark scoring from open play to win that game 1-0. So Essex Work Skills off to a good start there.
And looking good for them tomorrow as well, because they're facing Australia, and you kind of fancy Denmark in that game.
Absolutely. Australia did battle hard against France, so you never know, but I think Denmark will be hoping to pick up another win back-to-back there. Group D, we had Ian Bailey's Calyx Environmental of Argentina, one of the big teams in the tournament, take on the newcomers to the tournament, Iceland, and that's Ogo Okpu of Adverto Films. And Ogo pulled off a blinder here with a 1-1 draw with Argentina and Messi.
Yeah.
Messi, of course, missing a penalty during that game and having a generally frustrating game, which he failed to score in. Aguero opened, scoring straight away, Manchester City striker. Great goal. But Iceland fought hard with their defensive shape and strategy, which they put in place, pulled off effectively. And it just goes to show that with the right approach, you can take on bigger competition, you can compete with them, and in Iceland's case, you can even draw with them.
At this point, should we kind of talk about another of the ideas that we've sort of thought through? It's really, we touched upon a couple of these already, but it is a real story for this round. In that it's about competing with the big boys. We talked about the Argentina game, we talked about the Spain game. The 2 teams that we really expected to do very, very well at this World Cup, both walking away from their first game with a draw. Now there are a couple of other high-profile teams that we're going to talk about in a minute. In Brazil, who again walked away with the draw, which was not expected against. I'm reticent to say an average Swiss side.
No,
I think they're decent.
Yeah, they're quite high in the rankings, but in terms of European teams you'd expect to get far in this competition, certainly not up there.
And then probably the big shock of this round is that Germany dropping all 3 points against a very good Mexico team. So there's a couple of things that we just sort of picked up on here, in that, you know, in an open competition like this, and let's think of business like an open competition, you are able to compete with the big boys. And if you are more agile, more organised, thinking more creatively, which is something that is really easy to do as a small business, because you can move quicker, you can have more ideas, you can implement them easier and more quickly, it's really possible to compete with the big boys at a fraction of the cost and do it really, really well and be very successful, like some of these smaller teams have been.
Absolutely. And we've definitely seen that in this opening round when people might not have expected that to be the case. So yeah, a very key point for you small businesses out there in this competition, and those of you who are showing interest and just coming along for us with this journey.
Absolutely.
So the other game in Group D alongside Argentina and Iceland was, of course, Sally Parkinson Photography's Croatia versus Ian Chambers Hoskin Home Loans Nigeria. This a tight game. We weren't sure which way this would go here in-house, but Croatia did manage to win 2-0 in that game. Nigeria not getting off to the best of starts in their group.
Although they have got fantastic kit. Really rate the Nigerian kit.
Many people are really loving that kit. Any comments at the moment at all?
Not as such. We got some people sort of popping in and out. So always good to see you guys joining us. If you got any thoughts about how you thought the first round went, let us know. Pop it in the comments. We'd really like to get your thoughts on this. If you're watching it on replay as well, again, just pop your thoughts in the comments. And
likewise, any of the topics we're discussing today related to marketing, thoughts on them, any expansions on that.
Manal's just joined us and said hi, so hello Manal.
Hi Manal.
Just going through some of the results. Unfortunately, we have already gone through the match you would have been most interested in, but unfortunately it's looking like you may have an early exit from the competition with Egypt at the moment.
But then we do have one of our 4th place spots, Wooden Spoon Prize, available, so maybe Egypt will be looking at that. But they'll of course be competing with Saudi Arabia, who lost 5-0 in their opening game, so who knows for that spot.
Are we talking about Brazil now? Because just before we talk about the game, important and interesting sort of comment here from Manal saying that she thinks that Neymar spends too much time on his hair.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've seen in this tournament there are a few players who have questionable haircuts, Dele Alli included.
We did actually watch our England games together. I think my first piece of commentary on that game was, what has he done with his hair?
Absolutely. Neymar,
absolutely no excuse.
As well as spending a lot of time on his hair, tended to spend a lot of time on the floor or moaning, so he was fouled quite a lot, but he did spend quite a lot of time getting quite emotional about the fact he was being fouled. Also didn't tend to pass too much, came under some criticism for being quite greedy, Neymar, in that game, probably wanting to do the same as what Ronaldo did and really put themselves out there in that first game. But Brazil could only find the 1 goal in that game. Brazil 1, Switzerland 1 was the score there. So that was Rob Lazaro, Mud and Maps causing that upset against Paul Summerfield Wedding Photography. Also in that group we had Adam Cohen's Costa Rica take on Nina Jervis's Serbia, Nina the writer. She needs to watch back that goal from that game because Kolarov scored a free kick from about 30 yards out. Very good goal, worth a watch.
Fantastic.
Worthy of winning any game. A bad start there for Adam Cohen. What are you thinking about that? Thoughts? You'll be up against Switzerland and Brazil. Really, Serbia was probably their winnable game. Who knows how they go on against Brazil and Switzerland?
And then on the subject of bad starts, it's time to talk about the Germans.
Absolutely. So the shock of the opening round was the current world champions, the champions of the Basketball Cup, Germany, aka Beck, Barking Enterprise Center, losing to Mexico. Mark Fountain Photos will be thrilled with that result. Mexico playing on the counter, looking incredibly dangerous and unlucky to score could have scored 3 or 4, to be honest with you. Javier Hernandez of West Ham leading the line there, setting up a good goal for Lozano. Mexico well worth the win. Germany failing to sort of infuse, really.
Absolutely no impetus at all. They look like a very lethargic squad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was particularly excited to see Timo Werner play. So there's been a lot of talk about him in the build-up to the competition and didn't really show up at all.
Not at all. This is the first time Germany lost their opening game for many years. I can't remember specifically how many, but it's at least 50 or more, I'd say.
Another player that didn't turn up in that game, Ozil.
Ozil, often criticised at Arsenal for disappearing in big games. However, in the past he has turned up for Germany, but obviously not in their opening game on Sunday. That was our big shock of the round. And once again, as Sam said, it shows with the right approach, you can beat bigger targets. Monday, we saw Sweden take on Korea. So that's Jimmy Lee Photography Sweden versus Gabriel Beckett, Colchester Boot Camp, who's the personal trainer, Korea. Korea weren't quite at the blocks there. Sweden grabbing a penalty to win that game 1-0. So good start for Jimmy Lee Photography, not the greatest for Colchester Boot Camp.
And that was a penalty given through VAR as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've seen a number of penalties given through VAR during this tournament, and that can only be a good thing in that decisions which would have been missed are being caught, being shown, and people are benefiting from that technology.
I think you're right, and actually that's this is a big talking point that we brought up in our alternative commentary for the Russia game last week, in that essentially technology can be used as a force for good. It can be a very powerful thing to utilise, both obviously in this competition, but also for businesses as well. The thing that has become very apparent from this last round of games, and I imagine it will probably get better when we get into the knockout stages as well, when only the most experienced referees are going to be going through to adjudicate games, is that this technology is helping, but it is helping most when it is being used well. Now, we're going to talk about the England game in a minute, but I think that is probably one of the, and obviously we're going to be a little bit biased, but I think that is one of the areas where the technology has not been used particularly well. So I think there's a real lesson we can take away from this, in that if we're going to be utilising technology, let's understand how it works and use it to the best of our abilities, because it can be fantastic, but if it's not used properly, it can be a hindrance.
Absolutely. So we'll be touching further on that in a few moments. Any comments at all at the moment?
Now just picking up on the old Neymar point again, is that he could get a gold medal in rolling around on the grass.
Absolutely.
So perhaps if we're going to see Kane get the golden boot, no idea who's going to get the golden glove at the moment, because there's been no
there's not been
clean
a single
sheets.
0-0 so far.
No, sorry, there have been clean sheets, but no 0-0 games. Is there an alternative prize for essentially like the golden like stack it or golden roll,
The golden dive.
something like that.
Absolutely, I think Ronaldo would be up there as well for that golden dive.
That's actually because he slavers himself in Portuguese snake oil before every match, so he's naturally more slippy than other players. Yeah,
Love it.
that's not actually true. That's just a rumour I heard. But yeah.
The following is true though. Belgium got off to a great start. So Dan Smith, Sports and Spinal Physio, will be thrilled with their opening game, taking on Panama, aka Gail Hogan's Gas Brand Studio.
Sorry, Gail.
Panama in their first ever World Cup.
Played very well in the first half. Well, no, actually, they played very well for the entire game.
Yeah.
First half were exceedingly fortunate to go into the half-time break at 0-0.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't at all expected.
No.
But obviously tired quicker than the Belgians did. And let's remember, Belgium are a fantastic squad.
Absolutely. So De Bruyne, Hazard, Lukaku, all on form. Lukaku grabbing 2 goals in that game and a stunning volley from Dre Mertens. Again, one to watch if you get a chance. Wide out on the right, volleyed it first time into far corner, and that piece of brilliance really probably deflated the Panama Hearts a bit after they fought so hard for so long to be still in the game.
Interesting as well, on just to throw in a little bit of football gossip, rumours are that Mertens is Chelsea's now #1 transfer target for the summer.
We also do find that in these global tournaments that there are players who put themselves out there on the market. So on this global stage, you see people playing well for their countries, and suddenly clubs think, oh, want a bit of that, let's sign them up. So yeah, it's a good, as well as we discussed in our alternative commentary of the Russia-Saudi Arabia game, how the World Cup is essentially a marketing campaign for the country hosting it.
That's a good point.
But it's also a marketing campaign. If a player wants to put themselves out there and show off their skills, it's a good chance to impress in front of the millions of people watching. So
you kind of that's actually something that's been talked about a little bit, particularly for Shaqiri at Stoke. Obviously, where they've gone down, he's going to be on the hunt for a new contract somewhere else because he really should be playing top flight football. So you kind of expect to see him really pulling out all of the stops.
Absolutely.
In their coming games.
Completely. And again, if you wanted to hear more about our thoughts on some of our theories related to the World Cup being a marketing campaign, the VAR, and some other thoughts, we did go through quite a lot of different things during the Russia game, or as well as providing the commentary of some of those stunning goals. Was there any other particular things we discussed in that game that you can think of?
We talked about, obviously, the match. But Russia 2018 has a marketing campaign. Talked a lot about VAR, a lot about how you can compete with the big boys as well. So we went into a lot more detail with that.
We also talked about digital marketing, about email marketing, about how to use hashtags and social media. So there's lots of useful tips and ideas in there, and we also talked about how Jodie Louise Bonnet's Beauty Loft actually solely operate through Facebook. So again, talking about how technology and utilising those tools can be so effective. In fact, she relies on Facebook purely rather than traditional means of marketing. So it shows with the right approach, you can pull off results.
Yeah, absolutely.
So England game, obviously that happened on Monday against Tunisia. England started well and scored a goal and were 1-0 up, and then things all started to go wrong with Kyle Walker elbowing a Tunisian man in the face to give away a penalty to make it 1-1, and then the nerves took over for England from then on. A very shaky performance, England carving out opportunities but not looking as composed on the ball as they should have been.
Not converting at all.
Not converting at all.
So there's a couple of things that I want to pick up on in this game. The first is that it was exactly as I predicted it. I did have a little chat with Rich at Nutribox early on Monday, and he says, what's my prediction for the game? I said 2-1 with 2 goals from Kane, exactly on the money there, so I'm very pleased with that.
And those 2 goals would have pleased Rachel Richards of Uniform 7 and been harsh for Cyan Marketing Stuart Chaplin.
The other thing as well is that I was listening to the radio on my way back from watching the England game at Mike's house, and there was a lot of talk about how this was a really positive England performance. It was really one of the lot of people sort of phoning in and saying that it was the best they've seen the team play in years, which is factually incorrect.
Yeah.
Can't
say I agree with that.
And let's just remember that it's Tunisia.
Yeah,
But,
and
you know,
it did take
enough
a
of the England back.
91st minute winner in that game, so we were very much scraping the barrel. But we got the win. So, as I said, Uniform 7 got your win. A decent start, and they'll be hoping to go on to play against Gas Brown Studio next, Rachel Richards.
Yeah.
So England versus Panama the next game, and of course Dan Smith's Belgium taking on Stuart Chaplin, Cyan Marketing's Tunisia.
Absolutely. Into the final group.
Yeah, sure. So the final group, we had Poland versus Senegal. So that's Have a Go Hannah's Poland taking on Recreation Flowers of Senegal. Again, Group H is a group that we've highlighted as our most open group, and that clearly came in these 2 games. Poland and Colombia would be expected to be the favourites. However, Senegal and Japan won both games. So the first game, Poland-Senegal, 2-1 to Senegal, an own goal for Senegal, as well as a quite contentious decision where a player was off the pitch injured, waiting to come back on. Referee allowed him to come back on, and he immediately sprinted through and scored. So it's quite a controversial goal, but it was all within the rules of the game. Poland played the ball back towards their goalkeeper, and the guy who'd been off injured, Niang, sprinted onto that before the goalkeeper could get there, rounded the keeper for the 2-1 Senegal win. So not the greatest of starts for my sister, and Have a Go with Hannah, her unique products, but a great start for Recreation Flowers. And Clive, get real about business, Clive Maloney. His Columbia got off to a terrible start against Giles Ford's Edwards Walk Limited.
Sorry, Clive.
After just 2 minutes, a Colombian player handled the ball in the box to stop a goal, which of course is a red card offence and a penalty. So just 2 or 3 minutes in, Japan had a penalty, had the man advantage, and went 1-0 up. Colombia struggled to get back into the game. Japan actually got a second before Colombia grabbing 1 goal back.
It wasn't Sanchez that handled the ball, was it?
It was a Sanchez, not the It
wasn't the Sanchez.
Yeah, so there's 2 Sanchez's, Carlos Sanchez of Aston Villa, Davinson Sanchez of Spurs, and it was Carlos Sanchez who handled the ball and got a very early end to his World Cup campaign. Yeah. And Japan pulling off a 2-1 win there, and an ageing Japan team there, full of experience with Kagawa and Okazaki. Okazaki actually started on the bench, and Osaka was the one who scored and set up a goal. So a very good game for Japan, and that was our first round of fixtures.
Yeah,
quite a few shocks in there, a lot of goals, as we said, no 0-0s. In fact, I believe there was 36 goals in these first 16 games, possibly 38, it's either 36 or 38. Either way, over double the amount of goals per game.
I could go through what we've got written down with the calculator, but I feel that I'll make for a very boring part of the Facebook Live. So, that's the first round of fixtures. We're going to be doing another roundup. When is the second round?
So once the final second round of games is over, so that would be once Group H is second games are finished.
Yep, 24th.
24th.
So
sometime after that.
That's on Sunday, so that'll probably be early next week. We're going to be updating you all.
And of course, by that point as well, some teams will have qualified, some teams will not be able to qualify. So we'll be looking as well at positions in each group.
Yeah.
And so what are your thoughts for your teams? Happy with your first round? Not happy? Any particular players impress you?
To be honest, I think the only person that can be truly unhappy at this point is probably Minal. Just because Egypt, having now played 2, lost 2, is not looking great. Not looking great. It's not impossible, but
yeah,
you wouldn't really sort of fancy them at this point.
Absolutely.
But
so
for everyone else, it's absolutely wide open.
Yeah, truly wide open. And I think the World Cup's got off to an exciting start. I think there's been lots of very good goals. So I know the BBC are having some highlights of games. So if you feel like catching up on any of the goals, do go over there and have a watch.
And then just to reiterate the points that we made today, which is 1, don't underestimate the importance of local support. Massively important. 2 is that technology can be a massive help, but is even more helpful if you're using it properly and correctly. 3rd is that you can compete with the big boys, but make sure you've got the right strategy and impetus in place. And this is the 4th point, but we didn't really cover it in the video, but I'm going to say it now. I was absolutely right. Belgium are going to run away with Group G.
Yeah, it's Belgium in Group G alongside England, Tunisia and Panama. So I think it's safe to say Belgium will probably beat England, judging by that first performance.
But what can you do? Sarah just joining us at the end. Sarah, good to see you. I'm afraid we're just about wrapping it up today.
Yep, so like we said, if you missed our opening game celebration, then do give that a watch. If you don't have time to watch the whole thing, at some point soon we will have a abridged version going on our YouTube with highlights from that stream. We've also going to be doing another roundup in the future, as we said. I think that's probably about it, really, video-wise.
That is, I think that brings us to the conclusion for this week. Send in any predictions you got for the next upcoming matches. But until then, we'll see you soon.
Yep, thanks for joining us. It'll come to World Cup.
Bye.